won?
I ain't want him to rebuttal. So I gotta let him get off first. I ain't gonna let him rebuttal. I think I won every fight that we had. I think we fought 3 or 4 times. Okay. But we were, like I said, we were kids. I think I was 9 and he was 11 or something like that. You know what I mean? And we fought. He couldn't get to a lot of national tournaments and regional tournaments because he had to fight me in Cleveland. And was like, you know. And, you know, but that's funny that he would say you got stronger every round. I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm different. I was different back then. But I'll say this. He talked about me running across the ring. And that was something that I was actually known for. When early in my career, I think between the ages of 8 and maybe 12 years old, my dad, I would come out the first round and I would box. And then the next 2 rounds, before the bell would ring, my dad would say, get in the sprinter stance, run across the ring and jump on your opponent and don't get off of him. And so like I've told this story before, like that's a lot of the aggression and stuff like that you saw from me as a professional athlete. It really was bred as an amateur. But I was actually known for running across the ring.
Didn't you knock a guy out with the first shot doing that once?
I don't know if I did that.
Somebody,
I don't know. My dad might have told you that story, huh? I don't know. But I remember that referees at one point they started trying to stop me from running across the ring. I had a ref one time. I'm in my sprinter stance. The bell rings, and I go to go, and he says, wait, you know. And so you know, a lot of good times. But the one thing about him. Here's the funny thing about him. What I knew when we were young, if you punched him in the mouth, he was going to fold. And I didn't want him to say nothing. I was like, because...
You going to say that now that he's gone.
Because there's the other side of it. Here's the other side of it, right? You punch him in the mouth, he was going to fold. He wasn't the kind of guy that was consistently in boxing every single tournament year round, doing it all. He would have laws. He wouldn't show up to tournaments and you know, stuff like that. So you fast forward, we get older, and he's one of the guys from Cleveland that don't nobody really know about. So you show up at the 2007 Olympic trials, he's the guy that don't nobody know at the Olympic trials. And all of the fighters were underestimating Silky Smooth. Silky Smooth grew out of punching me once and me folding. He was a grown man doing it and holding it down to the point where you got somebody like Terrence Crawford, and he, you know, the funny thing about his name being Silky Smooth, he was a southpaw, and he had this real just smooth boxing style, but he was fast, you know what I mean? And what he just said about Terrence, he could get Terrence out of his game. But at those Olympic trials, he got everybody out of their game. And he made it to I just looked at it. He made it to the Olympic trials finals. Because he was the guy that didn't nobody know.
Who did he face in the finals?
Saddam Ali.
Okay.
Lost to Saddam.
You weren't getting a decision against Saddam Ali.
He wasn't getting it. Yeah, and I talked to Terrence about that earlier. He was
Brooklyn
like,
stand up.
He said they had Saddam the whole way. You know what I mean? So